Chapter 8. The rec room was certainly something else, Sam would give it that. It seemed raised into the air and glassed in, though she wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't glass at all, and was instead some other alien, see-through material. She could see out over the entirety of the city, sprawled out and smoking, broken from the war that they were in the process of. Before the war, Sam knew it must have been gorgeous, from how the silver buildings curved among the wreckage, to how the broken light glimmered in the pale moonlight outside. Sam wondered if it was ever not nighttime here, and if it was ever completely dark. There always seemed to be some kind of moonlight around. Besides that, there was a bar, with dispensers along the wall behind it for pouring drinks. But no one was manning it, and there weren't any patrons. Closed, for now, Sam mused. Other than that, there were silver, metallic, plush chairs around tables, glowing blue things that looked like sheets of paper on the tables as surface, and arcade game-like machines. These, she watched with amusement, Sideswipe practically ran for, specifically one in the far corner, which he powered up immediately. Sam watched, mouth falling open slightly as the glass screen on the machine lit up, and Sideswipe was surrounded with a holographic wraparound screen in mid-air instead. Enemies flickered into existence, and Sideswipe set to playing, laughing, and shooting them down with the game's fake gun. "Save some for me!" Sunstreaker raced forward with the first laugh, the first sign of joy Sam had seen from him so far. Sam followed after with an amused smile, more than happy to watch them play and have fun. At least they weren't making her talk to the few other robots as she had expected. Sam had thought that they would be milling around the room, talking with each other, or just enjoying a meal of energon, a blue liquid that could fill up a glass. Strangely enough, it didn't taste too bad at all, kind of tingly and sweet. Ratchet had had no idea what she had meant by sweet. He had stared at her for several moments before she hurriedly assured him and got him to forget about it. She hoped, anyway. Shaking those thoughts from her mind, Sam stood a little way off to the side and watched as Sunstreaker jumped into the fray with Sideswipe. The game had no trouble scanning and adding him in. She watched in amazement as the brothers leaped around, gesturing wildly and using one another to keep up with the waves of in-game enemies coming for them. After a few minutes, Sam glanced around and pulled a metallic plush chair closer, sitting down in it before continuing to watch. Surprisingly enough, it was extremely comfortable, almost like she was sitting on a cloud. She wouldn't have expected that, given that it was made out of metal and what felt like metal shavings. Then again, she was also made out of metal now. The thought made her grimace slightly. "Hey, you okay?" Sam startled, jumping a little as a voice interrupted her thoughts. Her head jerked up, taking in the twin still playing before looking to her right where Jazz stood. She didn't recognize him at first, given how tired she had been when she first met him. But then that bright purple visor came to mind from when he had peered over the edge of the cliff at her, and slowly that silver figure filled out in her memory. His name, a reminder of the world she had left behind, stuck out to her like a bright thumbtack. "Jazz." Sam's greeting came out a little off as she was hit with a strange, almost painful sense of longing. "You don't look so good, Sam." His elegant face quirked into a frown. "Want me to pull your guardians out of that simulation?" "Oh, no, that's fine. They're having fun." She got the sense that they didn't get to play and enjoy themselves a whole lot. Mind you, an innocent sort of enjoyment, not the fun they got from getting into trouble. Jazz opened his mouth, brow furrowing in concern, seeming to pick up on that strange wavelength coming off of Sam when he was interrupted. "Jazz?" A new voice joined the conversation, but the way Jazz's name was said this time was very different. Deep and commanding, calm and confident, so unlike Sam's waver. "Prime!" Jazz whipped around, a crooked grin coming across his face. "Come to hang out with the soldiers?" "I'm afraid not, old friend. Prowl wanted to speak with you, but found it difficult to get a hold of you. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you?" The newcomer gave Jazz a low, scolding look, but amusement glimmered in deep blue eyes. While Jazz fumbled for an answer and pouted much like a young teen, Sam tried to fully take in this Prime. Her mouth fell open a little. Grace and strength seemed to radiate off the stranger. He was broad and darkly colored with both blue and red, making Sam feel very small and pitiful in comparison with her own spotted and worn paint job. Then there was the graceful way he held himself, and the sweeping silver tones that accented his broad-shouldered, handsome silhouette. He held an alien, otherworldly beauty about him, far greater than any Sam had witnessed on Earth. It was breathtaking and drew her in like a masterpiece painting. The way his rich, noble blue eyes moved over Jazz in amusement, the way his form seemed to radiate under the lights. Then he was looking at her. Sam's chest thumped hard. She found herself struggling to try not to look like she had been staring at him like a dying, thirsty man in a desert looking at a tall glass of water. Her face felt like it was heating up. Could she still blush, even as a robot? Sam hoped not. That would give her away quicker than anything else. "Oh, Sam, this is Optimus Prime, the big boss of the Autobots." "Prime, this is the newcomer, Sam. She came with Blue Streak, the—" Praxy and sparkling. "I am aware." Soft and rumbling, it was like listening to a gentle thunderstorm in the distance when he spoke. Powerful and commanding. "Welcome. It's always good to see another join us." Optimus offered her a small smile, his silver mouth quirking to the side. Her heart skipped a beat. That is, it would if she still had it. He had a sort of natural, easygoing charm, combined with a noble, strong, natural-born leadership that had her speechless and breathless. It made Sam uncertain as to what exactly she should or could say. "I'm glad to be here." It took her a second of fumbling to find a reply. Optimus was just like a force of nature. It wasn't hard to see that much. He was certainly blowing her away. Out of the corner of her eye, Sam could see Jazz smirking, seeming to catch on to everything that was happening currently. She tried not to fluster any more than she already was. He knew. "I heard about the Decepticon attack on you and your sparkling." Optimus frowned, his elegant face turning sorrowful with the slightest tinge of anger. His expressiveness was both incredibly thorough and almost overwhelming. It was like a fierce, fresh breath of air from a storm. He was both so complex he was almost closed off, and yet so open it was impossible not to know what he was feeling. Yet his thoughts remained far out of her reach. Ha! Sam never thought she would ever be mentally waxing poetry about a guy, but here she was. "I'm sorry you had to go through that. We're working to make certain you will be safe." He was trying to reassure her, but Sam could read between the lines. "I'm sorry, but we're still fighting the war. We're trying to win, so you can be safe in your day-to-day life." "It's okay. We're here now. We feel safe here." Sam offered lamely and wanted to kick herself for falling short in her vernacular. "Good. I'm glad." Optimus lowered his head slightly. "I apologize. I have to go now. Jazz, report to Prowl." Turning and nodding at the other mech, he then moved off and out of the rec room. Silence reigned for several moments. "You like the boss bot, huh?" Jazz's smirk turned into a shit-eating grin. I just met him!" Sam defended herself, but she could feel herself heating up worse. "Don't you have somewhere to be?" Yeah, but we'll be talking later." He pointed at her, struggling not to laugh before turning and following after Optimus. Sam huffed, relaxing a little as she was left alone. She blinked. When had she stood up? Confusion swam through her. Slowly, she sat back down in her chair, feeling like she had been caught up in a whirlwind and dropped somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Sam felt lost. If lost was the word to use in any case, it felt too weak. She needed something stronger to use. She felt... Sam didn't know what she felt. "You okay?" She jumped, startled for the second time, and ripped her head up to look at a guarded and scowling Sunstreaker with his arms crossed. Behind him, Sideswipe continued to play the arcade game, still just as into it as when he first started playing. Yeah, I'm alright." Sam blinked and shook off the feelings that continued to cling to her like unwanted cobwebs. She had never met anyone that could do that to her. Optimus Prime was undoubtedly something else. With that last thought, she pushed him entirely from her mind. "Are you done playing?" Sam focused completely on the teen in front of her. "Yeah, Sideswipe is still going, though." Sunstreaker jerked his thumb over his shoulder. "Want me to show you around?" While he still seemed closed off and volatile, there was a gleam of genuineness there. Or maybe he was just bored. Sam didn't know. "Sure, what else is there?" She stood up, pushing her chair back to where she got it from. "Come on, I'll show you." Sunstreaker's mouth quirked a little, and his brow relaxed. His shoulders fell into a lax position from where they had been tensed up by his ears. He looked less like he was facing off against an enemy, and more like a kid. Like he should look. "What is it?" Sam fell into step beside him as Sunstreaker headed for the door. "You'll see." He kept a steady, slowed pace, letting Sam keep up with him without having to push herself too hard. She huffed but didn't press too hard. It didn't seem like he was going to prank her. If anything, he seemed completely genuine and sincere at this moment. If he was going to try anything, his body language would be different, Sam was certain. Sunstreaker felt fairly open on that front. Together they left the rec room, and started up several sets of stairs just down the hall. Sam blinked at them all. With the rec room so far up, she didn't think it would go any further, that they were already at the very top. But no, there were at least 8 more flights of stairs. The good thing was that her legs didn't get tired as they used to when she was human. The bad thing was the tedium that came with it and the way her joints struggled. There was nothing to do while they ascended to the higher levels. Sunstreaker wasn't much of a talker, and Sam didn't know what to say. Luckily, it wasn't too long until they got where Sunstreaker had in mind. At the very top of the flight of stairs was a singular large door. Unlike all the sliding silver ones that were on every other doorway, this one was a swinging one, like what she was used to on Earth. It was an ominous black color with a silver handle, and Sam looked with no small amount of uncertainty at her tour guide. "This is where you wanted to take me?" "Yeah, don't worry, you'll like it." Sunstreaker half glanced at her, a borderline nervousness playing in his pale blue eyes, before he stepped forward and threw the door open, slipping through quietly into the darkened insides. "Do or die, I guess." Sam shivered, sighing heavily before taking a deep breath and moving forward after him. The door was heavy, and she had to shove on it to get it to swing open fully, which was probably why Sunstreaker only pushed it open as far as he needed to and squeezed the rest of the way in. Unfortunately, her frame needed more room. Slamming her shoulder into the door with a curse, Sam finally smacked it open the rest of the way and strode into the darkness. But it wasn't dark for long. Sam gasped in amazement and her mouth fell open. Oh my God.